Hey, it's Whips here, and Arcane is back with a vengeance with the new mercenary, LOKHOLAR. So out of the 5 new mercenaries, I figured this one was probably the one that could stand on his own feet the best, besides Chi, who is not out yet, sadly. I thought there would be a lot of interesting synergy between Band of Bursting Novas and Stereotypical Beast mercenary teams, where you can see in the clip behind me, we actually put LOKHOLAR down once our beasts actually die, and our damage for Millhouse is already scaling pretty high here. And that game was against Frost, which is a pretty bad matchup just because LOKHOLAR will actually kill your starting lineup of Rexxar and Krush pretty quickly. That's allowing you to not generate as much buffs through Band of Bursting Novas as you would like to in a normal game. And while I do know that Sylvanas is usually used in a beast team, I didn't have any room in this team. However, I do expect this to be a good enough combo to actually rely on, so you don't actually have to rely on Sylvanas instead, as this is 2 ways to actually scale 2 mercenaries damage instead of 1 way to scale 1 mercenaries damage that you have to rely on getting one ability out so it can do its max potential. This way you can actually have a more diverse field, which I like a lot more in a lineup like this, though this is a new mercenary, so I don't recommend trying to copy this build, just live for me until people figure out what is the best strategy to use like with a mercenary like this. Though I do think LOKHOLAR will eventually find his home in some type of beast build. It's just a matter of time. And until then, let's go over the individual mercenaries. The first mercenary being Rexxar, who is in here for Mama's Bear Claws, which allows you to increase the attack and HP of every beast you summon by 4. You're usually most of the time going to be using Animal Companion as the ability on this whenever it is off cooldown, as that will allow you to generate more beasts for the LOKHOLAR combo later on. Though his other 2 abilities are just as good, and you're probably going to rotate between Animal Companion and Explosive Shot after the initial turn, just because you can do a bunch of AoE damage that way, and Killing Command is just basically a weaker Explosive Shot once it's off cooldown. So for the second mercenary in the team, it's Krush. This really shouldn't shock anyone. Krush is used mainly as a big beater, so you can actually deal with some of your opponent's early game mercenaries and chip away at their board until then. Most of the time with Krush, you're probably just going to spam Apex's Predator. It's a really great ability and does a bunch of damage to your opponent's mercenaries. Devilsaur is also always an option to use on each individual turn to try to give LOKHOLAR more beasts for fodder, but I usually don't use this at all, and the equipment that I'm using for Krush is Flaming Claws, which increases his attack even further and makes him even bigger of a beater. And then we have King Mukla as the third mercenary on the team, who we're using mainly because of Mukla's big brother. Though if Krush is out while Mukla is still out, and you can actually get it off without Krush actually being killed before he attacks on that turn. Primal Power is a really strong ability to use in combination with Krush, but most of the time you're probably going to use Banana Frenzy or Dinner Time. Dinner Time just depends if there's attack-based mercenaries, but most of the time, if there aren't, Banana Frenzy is what you're going to want to use. Now for the complex part about this build, the choice of your 4th or 5th mercenary that you're actually going to be putting down. And this really depends on how consistently you can get Krush and Mukla to die at the same time, since they both do die pretty quickly because they do attack into your opponent's mercenaries. If they both die at the same time, LOKHOLAR and Millhouse are probably what you're going to want to put down 4th and 5th. Otherwise, Cookie is always an option to put down before either of them, just because of the fact that that'll allow you to try to get more buff on LOKHOLAR's final equipment, which is what this build is actually centered around, and also allows you to scale the damage as much as humanly possible before you try to get out big combo. And of course, for Cookie, the equipment we're using is appetizers. This is just to help Millhouse survive for a longer period of time because he is a very squishy mercenary. And speaking of Millhouse, the equipment that I'm using for him in this build is Arcane Powder, but I can also see if someone would want to use Mana Rod. It really just depends. The game that I showed earlier, I was using Mana Rod, but I didn't have this actually come up. I'd rather be able to just spam Arcane Explosion as much as humanly possible than relying on getting a Arcane Bolt and then a one explosion out. This just overall does more damage than relying on trying to scale arcane damage even further. And finally, the last mercenary on the team is Long Shin. His first two abilities are probably the ones that you're going to use the most in this build, and his equipment is the most important thing to upgrade because this is what makes the build actually work. And there's a few either bugs or weird little interactions with this mercenary. The first one being Celestial Breath. Actually, if you get critical damage on one mercenary and then it rolls over to the next mercenary and that would also do critical damage, it will actually quadruple the damage that that mercenary is actually taking instead of just doubling it, which I don't think this is supposed to be how it works out, but I could be wrong. This little interaction was kind of shocking to see, but it is worth mentioning here. The other interaction is Among the Stars. If you swap places with, let's say, Cookie, and your opponent was hard targeting Long Shin instead of Cookie, all the abilities that were targeting Long Shin will actually target Cookie instead, which may or may not be a bug. I think this one is less likely to be a bug just because of how it's worded, but it is a really cool interaction and an easy way to actually protect Long Shin, even if he is a very tanky mercenary for this team. And on that note, let's go find some games. Okay, so they have an even team, so it doesn't really matter what they have. We're just going to put down our starting lineup, try to get some of the tokens generating here. Depending on what it actually is, we might have a better time than if it's something more annoying. Could be Frost. If it is Frost, I still want to kill Jaina. LOKHOLAR is a hard target for a lot of builds, but should be fine. Okay, so it is going to be Frost. Oh, that's an interesting Frost team. I don't... we have to hard target that. Yeah, we have to hard target the Elemental just because we don't want King Krush to walk himself into being frozen. And we do get the Valera, which is nice. The nice thing about this build is it actually can hit Valera through stealth in multiple ways. Does it always happen? No, but it is possible. Are we going to die this turn? So we're going to do this. Okay, they're going to go after Krush. That's not really that big of a shock. I'm interested in why they're actually using Belinda in this build. I guess LOKHOLAR is probably towards the end, and we don't get it off, which sucks here. Yeah, we're going to put Cookie down, mainly because we're dealing with two fighting mercenaries, so we want to try to kill them. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I'm assuming Cookie's probably dead next. Yeah. Okay, so their Valera is dead. I should have actually killed Varden next. Oh well. We'll get another beast out. I'm curious if Cookie's fish would actually count for Long Shin's equipment. Because technically we are the ones summoning the fish. So it is technically our fish, even though it's our opponent's. Okay, Cornelius. We're gonna use this, attack into that. I'm gonna kill Belinda, just because Belinda's the bigger threat. And we do win the speed tie, which is good. I'm gonna do some damage to Cornelius. Kinda hope that actually hit the effort, but oh well. Okay, so what are the remaining mercenaries? I'd assume LOKHOLAR would be one of them. And they didn't have Cook. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're gonna target that. We're gonna do that. They're gonna just be able to snipe us, so I'm not even gonna risk it. Oh, actually, that might be really funny. If we can actually manage to get Heifer to attack before we're one off. Or actually, I guess we're less than that. I forgot about his equipment. Let's put Long Shin down. I really need to kill Jaina though. He should be getting an... I don't actually know how much. I'm gonna do that. Well, actually, yeah, we don't have a beast, so we might as well. And try to kill LOKHOLAR. Let's scale the arcane damage even further, because they're going to be AoEing here no matter what. And then LOKHOLAR, if he actually hits Long Shin, we might actually be able to wipe out their entire board. Well, I guess we don't wipe out Jaina if they do use LOKHOLARs. Oh, they're using Ice Focus, so they're not even using the really good equipment. I can't blame them. LOKHOLAR came out less than a month ago. Okay, so we're going to hit something, which kills it, and we do get hit by that, so we are going to hit Jaina. We would have killed Jaina there if it wasn't for the stupid ice barrier. That's kind of frustrating, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to win this turn no matter what. Just need to use the Arcane Explosion. Ooh, 30 damage. I'm not even going to attack with the other two. I have no reason to. Oh, and they give up. Okay, so I'm going to do the starting lineup. We're going to put Krush over just because we're going to try to make sure Krush always goes before Rexxar. I know that technically doesn't always work, but I guess having them the opposite way around does have its benefits, because you could purposely make Rexxar target a mercenary that you want to use. It really just depends. Yeah, I might actually swap that back around next time. Okay, Orcs. Orcs starting lineup is bad for us. Their ending lineup is fine. They have Cookie as one mercenary. I done goofed. I done goofed really hard. We're gonna try to kill Sarfang first. Actually, Rokara might have been a better choice, but oh well. So that's close to dead. We'll choose Taunt. We'll attack into that, because I'm assuming this is probably going to hit this. And then it will go to Realm, I think, next. Which animal companion did I put? Was it the Taunt? If I put the Taunt up, that's fine. I'm thinking Garrosh and Gul'dan as the final two mercenaries that we don't know. Okay, offensive rally. Okay. That's going to be a little bit annoying, but we do deal with both of those, which is pretty decent. We're going to kill our animal companion instantly. And we're going to hit the Rokara. Oh shit, I should have swapped those around. Okay, so who are they going to put out next? Gul'dan, okay. Use this. Use that. Because I'm assuming that Krush will hit Hellscream. Then Krush will go into Rokara. And Explosive Trap will blow those two over. Kind of shitty part about this build, though, is by the time Long Shin actually comes out, most people will actually just give up. But I don't think there's a good starting lineup where that doesn't happen. Okay, they kill one mercenary there. Oh, we don't kill one there. Long Shin and Millhouse. This should kill Grom no matter what. Do that. We'll do this. I don't like having Rokara up. Rokara can easily murder our entire team. I guess Grom has a lot of attack too, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm hoping that Rexxar's animal companion will actually go into Rokara, so we don't have to worry about Rokara and whatever the mystery protector mercenary actually is. It could be Thrall too. The nice thing about this is, if this gets damaged, we just start AoEing everything. Which is also the reason why I kind of think Izao might be a really good final mercenary in a team like this. I wish I had him leveled up though. Okay, moment of truth, and it does hit where we want it. They're going to be focusing down Millhouse, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to swap Millhouse and that. 30 damage. Let's target this. Do we want to AoE randomly, or do we want to... Okay, so that does hit that. They do manage to kill. I'm fine with them doing that. We get Cookie down. Oh, does this ability not have a cooldown? Because if it doesn't have a cooldown, that's actually really funny. Oh, it does have a cooldown. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to AoE. And then we're going to... yeah, that would have been actually pretty strong if it didn't have a cooldown. I guess I get why. think we're still quicker. Yeah. Okay. Kill Millhouse, which sucks, but at this position, we're gonna win. We're gonna use this. We might as well use that. How much? Okay, that's a weird graphic. Hey, let's try this out. See what they are. Okay, so orcs, we're killing Thrall first. There's no reason not to kill Thrall here first. They can try to kill Krush, but we should be able to kill Thrall in one turn. Okay, so they're gonna almost be able to kill Krush, but we'll be able to kill it instead. We're gonna put Cookie down as our next mercenary. Okay, so let's put that up. We can try to kill the Rom first. Okay, so they're actually going for Rexxar next. And I think next turn Rexxar will be dead. But if we do manage to kill Grom, we should be able to turn off Valera. Okay, Longshin is next. Kill that, and do the AoE, or the Arcane increase. Because that's gonna trigger. I think? Oh no, we won't be quicker just because it'll be 3 cost. We'll do that. Doubt that this is going to survive, but we can try. And we'll use the breath on Aaron. I'm interested to see what this actually does. Okay, so it just hits it twice. That's a really interesting little interaction there. Oh, and it's going to hit again. Okay, interesting. We are going to put down Manastorm, and we should win this, actually, in this position. And they give up. Alrighty, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the build. So the build actually performed pretty decently overall, and I honestly like this version of the build than some of the more traditional builds of Beasts within Mercenaries, mainly because of the fact that this team has a lot of diversity when it comes to the types of mercenaries you're actually using. You're not only focusing on fighters, which was the problem I had with a lot of the older beasts, where you would have a fighting lineup and have a fighter as a finisher in the form of Sylvanas. This allows you to have a fighter lineup, but also follow up with a bunch of casters, which means you're not having the big weakness of just one type of mercenary. Sure, this build actually requires 2 mercenaries instead of 1, unlike the traditional builds with Sylvanas as the big finisher. That complaint, I would say, has that really stopped any of the other powerful combos of mercenaries before? No, it really hasn't. Diablo and Cairn are a perfect example of 2 mercenaries that are really impactful, that kind of require each other to actually function at their full strength, but they are really decent mercenaries together, and that's why a lot of people are playing them. Same thing could be said with something between like Valera and Grom. Grom didn't see much play before Valera actually became a mercenary, but because Valera became a mercenary, Grom became way more playable than before. And while those synergies are probably stronger, I do think this shows a lot of potential in Longshin as a big way to buff up arcane damage. And to be honest, the only thing the build is really missing is another beast generating mercenary, which I think is probably a high possibility, at least a much higher possibility than getting a second Fel-based dragon, which I never expected to see the first one, but we're in that world, I guess. There was also a list of possible like 26 mercenaries data mined early on whenever the game mode actually came out, including some that were actually in the test clients for that they gave out to big streamers, one of which we've actually already seen put in the game, which is Valera. The other one that was also almost in the game was Medivh, who was centered around arcane damage and also summoned a bunch of ravens, which also gain attack based off of every arcane ability that you actually cast in the game. This would be an easy mercenary to even include at any given point, just because Medivh is a iconic Warcraft character, and I could see him being added pretty soon. It does give some additional synergy to a human-based team if they really felt like using it as a additional mercenary for that. Otherwise, it would serve as a perfect third mercenary for a build like this, and is something that I'm really looking forward to. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.